Until you're famous, until you have a following, all we are is like baby birds. You know, it's just, like, who wants Paducah, Kentucky on a Tuesday? There you go, you fuck.
Right.
Hotel? Like, no, make your own arrangements, you piece of shit.
That was a very good bird impression. Never seen it.
Yes.
I'm working on an anteater, a llama, you know,
An anteater.
Now, broadcasting live from the Podcast Palace on Park Street in beautiful and dangerous Clearwater, Florida, it's the Comedians Uncorked podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Tony Gaud and Pat Largo.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode here of Season 2 of the Comedians Uncorked podcast. We have Tony Gaud with us, our co-host. My name is Pat Largo. I want to thank you guys for being along here on this Zoom interview this week. Great guest, Patrick Garrity, this week. Well, yeah, a couple of things I want to mention ahead of time is, first off, everyone on Spotify, something new. Tony Gaud gave me good news last week. It's now not just audio on Spotify. If you want to look at us and check out the video and see who we're interviewing, we now have a video capability also for our podcasts on Spotify. And of course, on our YouTube channel, Comedians Uncorked, and the website, comediansuncorked.com. So thank you guys for being a part of this and supporting Comedians Uncorked podcast. And a huge thank you to our in-studio sponsor, Julie Drolshagen, the one and only, man, Century 21, right here in beautiful Clearwater, Florida. And she's amazing. If you want any kind of real estate help, buying, selling, anything in between, just give her a buzz at 727-902-9233, FloridaBeachBusiness.com.
Where? FloridaBeachBusiness.com.
It's Julie Drolshagen, sponsored by Century 21. So thank you so much. And now, a man I haven't spoken with since 2020, since the start of all the stuff that went down around the world. He's currently in Las Vegas, going to be performing at the LA Comedy Club at the Strat. Mr. Patrick Garrity. How are you, man? And welcome.
I'm good, man. I'm working this year, so that's good. Like, work's picking up, so it's much better. I always told people it's like the past 2 years, it's been feeling like I've been trying to fly a fucking Wright Brothers plane, so it's been a lot better.
Dude, I know, because if people don't know, Patrick Garrity does the never-ending tour, and he doesn't mean it facetiously. It never ends. So you're one of the first people I thought of a couple of years ago when everything shut down. So it's great to hear. I mean, are you back kind of like where you were, like on a good roll every week?
Getting there. No, it's not every week yet, but I mean, it's definitely a lot better than it's been the past 2 years. It's way more consistent. I mean, I think even this past December, that was like the first time I had 3 weeks in a row of work since since the start of everything, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, your whole thing is, I mean, you're on the road constantly.
Yeah.
Most comics, they go on the road. Like, even when I was heavy on the road, it wasn't heavy compared to what you're doing, because I'd go off like 3 weeks, come back,
right?
Another 2-3 weeks, come back. You're like, fuck the off week.
Yeah. I was like, my thing is like, most comics work the road. Like, I live on it, you know?
Yeah.
My rent just went up to $4.49 a gallon, you know?
That's right. And walk people through that. You basically, that is your vehicle, is your home, but you just had some recently, like you said, a couple of good dick kicks this year. The 2022 kicked off.
So it started out, yeah.
Yeah, what happened there with the vehicle?
So January started off, it was like $600 I had to put into it to fix it from overheating with the fans. And then February, the entire control arm came off the wheel, so that was $1,200.
Jeez.
And then the starter went out the week after that, so that was another $300. And then now, like, I was driving with my buddy. We were on our way from Tampa to Greenville, South Carolina, and then I picked him up from the airport. That at 2 a.m., like right outside of Jacksonville, the car broke down again, and I thought it might be something with the control arm, but there was a whole new slew of problems. They don't even make the part that it needed to fix it. So I was paying $100 a day for a rental, and then a buddy of mine just gave me a car that was sitting in his driveway for the past year. So I ended up using it. Now I'm driving. I got rid of that car, so now I'm driving this my buddy's car, this Nissan Maxima. So that's it. It's just Just trying to find something that works.
Yeah, I blame most of that on Jacksonville. I mean, that's an evil town. A lot of shit happens in Jacksonville. Have you seen the Jaguars? Horrible.
I mean, that's whoop.
Oh God, Patrick.
Sorry about that.
Jesus God, I thought I was going to end it right there.
Yeah, I just jumped out a window.
So I think it sounds like Patrick, like you're the only person that drives burner cars. People have burner phones they just get rid of.
I mean, I'd rather not. I'd rather get something, but it's just like I can't. It's like every car I get knows I'm trying to get rid of it. So it's like anytime I get money saved, it's like, oh, sorry, look at that Hyundai. Just give it a cap.
You need a 3D printer, man. You need one of those 3D printers that can print a car.
Man. I'm looking into getting a fucking horse at this point.
Well, just speaking of all the money, like you said, you just threw down the toilet right there. I know you need cars and you're driving another one now, but do you have any GoFundMe? I mean, we'll put it on the podcast and pump it also at the end of the podcast. But
I got it better than a GoFundMe. I got a Patreon that I'm trying to build up. So yeah, I'd rather people, if they're going to subscribe to it, just do $1 to the Patreon.
Okay.
Well, that's a good question. Because you're, like you said, you're constantly on the road. So your expenses are very different than what most typical comics would experience because they're on and off the road.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how are you able, or how do you budget for those expenses? There's so much of it goes into the vehicles itself and the fuel.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's hard to budget for anything because it's always a surprise when it comes up. It's just like I'm not budgeting for like a $1,200 repair when it comes up. I'm just like, oh, okay, well, this is it. And then,
exactly. So basically, you were talking about the Patreon. Now, is that helping right now with some of the funding with what you're doing?
A little bit. It was doing really well before the pandemic, and then it was just like because I was touring, and then it's because my podcast and my page is all about the Never Ending Tour. Then the tour, there's nothing to fucking talk about. It's just like I was like fucking. There's no tour. It's just like basically now my podcast just becomes the Masturbation Chronicles. It's just like
it's just reminiscing.
Yeah. It's like once the year, hey guys, thinking more about killing myself. He's like, oh, this is getting redundant. Last week I was like, oh, what if I just take some pills? This week is like, I'll just jump off a bridge. Next week I'll just fucking open a vein. It's just like, oh, this isn't, I want to be like fun and interesting.
If it's good enough for my car, it's good enough for me.
Right. It's just like,
dude.
It's just the constant fucking merry-go-round of shit.
Well, truthfully, would you have, besides the car problems and shit like that, though, in your life right now, would you rather have it any other way?
No, I mean, like I always say, like no matter how hard comedy gets, every day without a name tag is a victory. You know what I'm saying? Like every job I had before comedy was something with a name tag, and I fucking hated it. And this is like, at least it's like comedy, as worse as it gets, it's still fulfilling. It's just the business part that I hate. It's just the industry that I hate. But the comedy itself, I love. I'll never not love it. True.
And real quick, if I'm not mistaken, when I saw you at Snappers here a few years back, you were also was it U.S. Army?
No, I was in the reserves.
I'm sorry, reserves.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I kind of, yeah. I mean,
well, thank you for your service anyway.
I didn't do anything. I could do anything.
we know you didn't work as a mechanic.
No, nothing useful. I just tell people if they're gonna thank anybody, thank for somebody that went overseas or something. Like but I appreciate it though. Thanks, man.
Of course, man. That's awesome, man.
Well, now I had a question. You were talking about the industry itself. That's a pain in the ass to deal with because a lot of it's self-serving. But to that end, I mean, are you trying to create some content like a special or something?
Fans. So what I want to do, this is like my main goal. This is basically what my Patreon is for. Like what I want to do with my Patreon is like, I want to get 100,000 subscribers. Everybody subscribing for just $1. And then I do my never ending tour around the country like I've been doing. But the kicker is then I'll bring 3 different comedians with me on the road for that month. And I'll pay each comic 25 grand. And then the following month will be 3 new comics. A month after that'll be 3 different comics. And a month after that'll be, so it'll be like 3 different comics each month. And I'll fucking help them make their nut for that month. So it's just like, especially comics with families and stuff, you know.
Right.
Like I don't have any kids or a wife or anything, and I'm still drowning. This is really difficult. But like, but I think like with that is just like we're all killing ourselves trying to get like a piece of the pie. Like, oh, let me get a Tonight Show spot, which was a great credit back in 1987 when there were 6 channels and wanted to actually do something for your career. Now it's like nobody even remembers your name, and it might as well be a grain of sand on a beach. Nobody like it does nothing like
it's not recognizable anymore. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Let me do 5 minutes of watered down material and nobody will even like remember shit. With my thing, it's just like at least I can build a following, and then like you'll have actual subscribers will be like getting to actually know these comics for the entire month. It won't be just a blip like, oh, I interviewed this. Like they'll follow them the entire month, and then I'll be able to give them a nice chunk of change, and then the following month will be like a whole new 3 comics, and there's no headliner. Like we all split the time, and we like one show I'll host, and the other 3 comics will find and rotate. Yeah, so that's like so throughout the month, right? You know, it's just like
that's a really good idea, man. That's a really good system for
you know
comics to come up on.
Right, instead of trying to get a piece of the pie, I want to create a pie, give everybody a slice. There's no more last comic standing. And I'm in fuck last comic standing anyway, because I'm so sick of shows that are competitions. My idea is a collaboration. We're all working together. And it's like, so like I have 3 different comics. So comic A, B, and C's fans will all hear about each other. My fans will hear about them. Their fans will hear about me. And then we all, it's like a melting pot. And then it's like, and then, you know, in the following year, I'll have a few guys or, you know, a few comics that I'll have like maybe yearly, but everybody else will be switched out, you know, at least,
that's
20, 25. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and
I want it to be rotating.
The people that have the inside scoop that get the previews are the people that are joining the Patreon.
Like the tour, the tour itself, it's like, it doesn't mean like I'm an unknown comic, but fucking good. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of unknown masters out there that you never heard of that are straight killers. Yeah. It's a pretty easy equation. It's like, how do you put together a killer show? Easy. Put all killers on the show. And after 20 years in this business, like I know who the killers are. You know what I'm saying? It's not that hard to like put this together. And it's just like, and then each month we're like in a different region of the country. You know, we're doing different clubs. Well, still sells tickets, but it'll be reasonably priced tickets. It's not going to hurt anybody's pocket to come see it live. You know, you're paying like over $100 to see Kevin Hart or Chris Rock. My show, you want to be paying like, you know, maybe $40 at most, you know, $10 per
still got merch. Still got merch
and all that great shit. Yeah, man. It's a good idea, man. That's what I want to do. That's the idea.
That's coming out with some shit, everybody.
Man, that's what I want, man. That's what I've been doing this a long time, and I'm just like, that's what I say. Like I don't have an agent or a manager or anything. I don't need one. I want to do my own shit. I want to like create my own thing, and I want to help other comics. I want to, because I know how brutal this business is, and I know how unforgiving it can be. And that's what I want. That's what I want to do. I want to be like, hey, let's just come with me. Everybody's like talking about getting on TV. I'm like, well, what if you could tour like Chris Rock for at least a month, where you have a tour bus and we're working together, and like you don't have to worry about gas, you don't even have to worry about social media, because I'll have a producer on there filming everything and putting all the content out there. You can just be on the tour and be funny for a whole month, and that's it. You don't have to worry about driving, you don't have to worry about gas, you don't have to worry about accommodations, all taken care of.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah,
that's how they do it. Yeah, right. So I'd be, you know,
we're gonna push this as much as we can. You mentioned this when I saw you a while ago, and you had that idea, and I was like, that's a fantastic idea, and we're gonna push this Patreon, and hopefully, like you said, 100,000 people, $1 a piece. That's it.
Yeah, and 100,000 people. That's a drop in the bucket. Actually, it's really not that much. It's pretty easy. And $12 a year. And here's another kicker that I had an idea for it. You ever heard of the Fen Treasure?
What is it?
The Fen Treasure.
The Fen? No.
Okay, so back in the 80s, there was this art dealer named Forrest Fenn who got diagnosed with terminal cancer. And he was an art dealer. So he had an idea. He was like, all right, I'm going to go out. But before I go, I'm going to put a treasure somewhere out there for somebody to find. And he wrote a poem with 9 clues showing where you could find this treasure. He ended up beating the cancer, but he left the treasure out there for people to find. And people died trying to find this thing. They were like on the hunt for it. Like it was worth over like $2.5 million or something. The chest alone that it came in was worth like over 150 grand. And then somebody finally found it like over maybe like a year and a half ago. Somebody finally found this thing. So my idea is like my logo was kind of like a pirate type symbol. So pirates leave treasure. So I'll leave like buried treasure all along the United States, like as I'm traveling on my never-ending tour. And to get the clues, you got to sign up to the Patreon. But I'll, if I'm making like a ridiculous amount of money, I'll be burying like 50 grand out there in the middle of nowhere, and you got to go find it. Wow. A fun way to interact with fans, It's like a little pirate same thing.
You're not playing around.
It might also be the scene of the crime.
Yeah, no, I'm just
having people kill each other to go get stuff.
That's something.
The cops are trying to get the information. Well, you got to join Patreon, man. I have the coordinates.
Just give me $1.
It's a simple thing. We're gonna get people to do this, man. I like it.
I think that's part of the reason why it's such a good idea is because it's so simple, and it's just like, and people love discovering, especially artists that they've never heard of before. And comedy is just so full of them, like I always make it a point in my show when people come out, I go, I get it. I was like, I know you came out tonight. You're like, hey, there's a comedy show. You want to go check it out? Sure. Who's going to be there? Like, fuck, I don't know. And then people always like, yeah, they just came to a show. Like comics like me or, and Tony and stuff, they're like the bread and butter of the industry just because we're so cheap to work. Like we're like an ad, we'll do a show a weekend for $600 and then, the booker or owner of the club will make that in one show. And then the rest is all profit for them,
Sure.
Yeah, we're just trying to work.
No, we're just trying not to work a regular job. That's what we're
trying not to clock in. That's all I'm trying to
do. Every day, that's the first thing. When my feet hit the floor, guys, I swear to God, I go, I'm not going back to a hotel or a supermarket gig. I'm not going back. I'm not doing it. I lose my house.
Even if I wanted to, I tell people I can't do it now because I've been doing comedy for 20 years. I was like, what the fuck does that look like on an application? I was like, what do you mean? What's your job history look like? I'm like, not good.
That's one of the things I say on mine too. It's like for the job application, they want to know reasons for leaving. I was like, couldn't take a joke. It's been so long. It's like I get uncomfortable now, like trying to put on a tie. I'm like, there's too much clothes, man. What's going on here?
It's like, you want me to shave my neck? What are we doing?
Yeah. Dude, I love that. Off the beaten path, but we'll do the Patreon plug later, and we'll get this baby going because I love where your heart's at and your mind at, and making people happy, and I like what that whole entire idea. You mentioned about traveling different areas with these comics. Is there a certain area around the country? I know you're in Vegas partying it up now for shows, but is there a certain part of the country or a certain state that you like the best, like you would love going to that for shows or just in general?
I get that question a lot, man, and it's like I honestly cannot pick a single one just because every place has its own thing, and for me it's the people. I go like, people, where's your favorite place to go? And my response is always, any place you go is only as good as the people you know when you go there. So meet awesome people everywhere. That way everywhere you go is awesome, and it's just like, and that's what I do. Like I literally know like amazing people all around the country. I have like my people like in everywhere and it makes life easier for me. I pretty much I got a place to stay just about everywhere I go, which is nice. And so like, I mean, I can't, you know, like I said, I mean, it's not an easy life, but I can't complain at the same time because it's pretty great, you know, especially with like the people I know. Like sometimes I think about if I had never done comedy, like I'd just be like a Walgreens manager or some shit. Like, you know, I have a tremendous amount of friends like everywhere. They're all great. They all like add so much to my life, you know, like it's pretty awesome.
Well,
I remember one.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I remember one time I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and she's like, you know, she's like a mom with a couple kids, and she was like, she kind of peeked over my shoulder. I was like scrolling through my Facebook, and she goes, "Your Facebook looks way different than mine." She's like, "Yours looks way more fun and interesting." I'm like, "Yeah, I have 2,000 comedians on my Facebook page that are posting amazing shit like all the time." She's like, "Yeah, I just get like Elf on a Shelf and Starbucks pictures and moms taking pictures of their stupid kids." I'm like, "Yeah, that sucks." I was like, mine's awesome." I'm like, "Man, this is amazing." You know, like it's like nonstop memes and funny videos and shit, dude. It's just like, yeah, my Facebook and my social media stuff is awesome because of that reason, you know.
Yeah, tell that kid to learn how to write some dick jokes and like get that life more. Jesus. I was going to say, yeah, this is, and me and Tony were talking about this, and I just got to ask because I'm not going to talk about the slap heard around the world, but have you noticed since COVID or the last couple of years, anywhere you're going, any audience members or the crowd just acting up more than you ever saw before, or have you had any one-on-ones with people lately at all?
I mean, for me, it's just always been streaky. You know, like sometimes I'll go like weeks and weeks and weeks, and it's just great shows and nobody's misbehaving. And then after that, it'll be like show after show after show where I'm almost to the point where I'm like looking at people coming in, like, which one of you assholes is it going to be? And I'm going to have to fucking shut down, you know? And then, but no, I mean, I think it's just,
wow.
I think it like, I mean, I've been doing comedy since like I started like right before the cell phone boom. You know, even with flip phones, you know, it wasn't as like people weren't on their phones because it was just a flip phone. But now it's like you see people on their phone much more. And it's like competing with that. I think it's just like people's attention spans or whatever. It's just like, you know, you just have to deal with it. And I think it's just like sometimes like, yeah, people just like, you know, and it's not even that they're being like rude, like saying stuff to me while I'm on stage. And the thing I hate is like when they just talk amongst themselves, like there's not even a show going on.
Yeah,
is what pisses me off the most. When I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Like, what are you doing? You know, and then they're just oblivious. They're just like, it's not that just they're being rude. They're oblivious to how rude they're being, which drives me nuts. Where I'm just like, do you not realize where the fuck you are or how loud you're being or any of this shit? And it's just like, and then they get indignant. They're like, oh, like, how dare I call them out for being rude? You know, so that pisses me off.
And it's a lack of etiquette for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And I know both of you. I know Tony and Patrick. I'm sure you know Ken Miller from Orlando.
Oh, very well. Ken, yeah.
So he just posted something. I'll give you the truncated version. He did a show at another club here in Orlando that I was at in December, a great little place in the Winter Park area. Long story short, he goes, "Hey guys, I got good news and bad news. Thanks to my opener and the feature, I dropped the mic. We had a great crowd. Man, we just killed it. Pure fire. The bad news is someone else disrespecting comedy." And he said it real quick. He said it was a guy in the front row, I guess, with a girl, his date for the first time. And he's just talking. But like, and you know what, when you're on a mic, they start talking louder because you're already loud and they're competing against you. So Ken said, "Hey man, can you just keep it down?" He's like, "No, man." He goes, "I don't know this girl. We're on our first date. I'm just trying to get to know her." That's what this guy's response was during a show. So, all right, my skin is, my hair is already. I could just kill someone just by hearing that. My blood's boiling. No,
I'm already like subtle rage, like building inside.
Right? Like I feel it. So Ken goes, "Hey man, can you just you know, take it to the back?" And he goes,
the guy. She doesn't need to get to know you. You're a prick.
Yeah, like, right.
There you go. You're a fucking rude prick. And so that's all she needs to know about you. You fuck.
So he escalates it. The guy says to Ken, "No, man, just do your thing. I you know, like, leave me alone." And so finally he got security and they got him out of there. I mean, but like you said, just the gall of people to have this conversation.
Yeah, the audacity, where the temerity of it, where you're just like,
It's
what
crazy.
the fuck? Yeah.
So I mean, but no, man, I just see like it's happened to me a few times over the last few couple of months. In places I've never had problems with before. But I was just curious to see how you pretty much like you just shut them down verbally, like you never had any need to call security or none of that stuff, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah, similar thing. Like I had a guy, almost the exact same fucking scenario in Grand Rapids at this place called Dr. Grin's, and it took me 5 years to finally get a date there, like of knocking on the door. That's what people don't. That's another thing that people don't understand is that it's not like oh, I just called the place up. It was like, hey, I'm coming through. I want to do a show here. Blah blah. That's 5 years of persistence of like, hey, I want to get booked. I want to get booked. I want to get booked. And I finally get a show there. And the same thing. This guy's just talking at this table. It's him and his girlfriend and then this other chick. And so it's two girls and this guy and his girlfriend. And then finally I was talking, so I just stare over at him. And then the two girls like that were at the table immediately like shut up and they're like, oh, and they put their hand up like, oh, we're sorry. And then the guy just keeps talking to the girl. And then finally one of the girls taps the guy and points to me and is like, hey, he goes, oh, just do your thing. He's like, nobody gives a shit. And he gives me one of these, like a dismissive.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're fucking done. I was like, you're out of here. And then I had security take him out. I was like, the fuck? Like, who the fuck do you think you are to fucking like tell me, like, dude, I wanted to Sparta kick him in his fucking chest. I was so angry.
I know.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I fucking spent 5 years trying to get into this fucking club, and now you're just gonna mouth off to me, like,
yeah.
It's insane. Like, I'm like, I don't know what people are thinking when they come out to a show like that, and they just think that they can fucking. I'm not background jazz music, you motherfucker. Like, I'm up here doing a thing,
Yeah.
If you want that, go to a coffee shop, you piece of shit. Exactly, a live performance. Like, you wouldn't be like this in a movie theater, you fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
Why did you do when there's a live performer that can interact with you and call you out and make you out to be a piece of shit?
I never hear this happen. I never hear this happen during Hamilton or Cats. I never hear anyone going, oh, I can act like that. Let me on stage. I never heard anyone doing that.
Yeah.
But for some reason, comedy, we're the runts of the litter and we get treated like that. It's just a weird thing, man. So.
Hey, buddy, listen, you're about to get no pussy ever from this girl. Want to know why? Because you're getting kicked out. Goodbye.
Right.
Have a good one. Fucking girls hate being kicked out of public places. That doesn't really fucking get the juices flowing, you fucking idiot.
That's right. You see, now real quick, Antonio, see, that's another reason why we do this. Patrick, isn't it great? This is free therapy. Isn't it great to get the poison out?
Oh, yeah. It sounds like I can't stand it, dude. I don't understand what the fuck is wrong with people,
This is good. I was going to say, what would you say to an upcoming comedian? Because you're really kind of laying it out as you're talking about how it takes sometimes so long just to get into a club in Grand Rapids, or you're on the road for 20 years, literally living out of your vehicle. Is there a certain, would you tell an up-and-coming comic, hey, man, it's either perseverance or go get a job at a grocery store? Like, what? Any advice for?
It's actually like a fucking cocktail. It's a mix between patience and persistence. Like being persistently patient. Like you can't be overwhelming. You can't be like too annoying.
Right.
Because then bookers they just can't fucking. They don't want to stand. But you have to be on them. Like my whole thing is like, look. When I communicate with a booker, I'm like, hey man, I'm going to annoy you, but you tell me when you want me to annoy you. And my whole thing is like, I'm booking out, like I try to book out far. I'm like, all right, man, I'm booking out for like August. Like, oh, we're not booking out. Okay, when do you want me to contact you again? And then I try to give them the option. If they don't, then I'm gonna hit you fucking next week. Or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like right. I try to give a space, but I try to put it on their terms. Like, all right, when do you want me to hit you back up? And then that's it. And then it's just like, but yeah, with bookers and stuff, man, because you gotta understand, until you're famous, until you have a following, all we are is like baby birds. It's just, like, who wants Paducah, Kentucky to Tuesday? There you go, you fuck. Hotel? Like, no, make your own arrangements, you piece of shit. Right, so, I mean, it's basically how it is, and it's not, Like you're man. But I mean, like as long as you're good, there is a respect that like comics like me. Yeah, I'm not famous, but I will contribute to the reputation of your club. Where they're like, oh, who is this? I don't know. Well, we didn't know that last guy. He was great, you know. So like, well,
Right.
you know, we'll go out there and check it out. But like, you don't want to book a fucking Turd Ferguson too often because then that hurts the club because then they're like, oh, this isn't good, you know.
No, absolutely true. Tony, do you have anything for Patrick?
I would just like to say that that was a very good bird impression. Never seen it.
Yes.
I'm working on an anteater, a llama,
An anteater.
It always ends up looking like Renee Zellweger for some reason. People are like, Renee Zellweger? I'm like, no, anteater.
Zellweger. Oh God. That chick.
Well, you know what?
She is, by the way, real quick, she is killing it. And the thing about Pam, I don't know if you've checked that out right now.
I saw the trailers. I can't wait to see it.
It's phenomenal. It's got like 4 episodes. I'm not slamming her nose. She is phenomenal, especially in that show, dude.
Good.
Like every scene she's in, I want to punch her in her head. She's that
Perfect.
But she's a villain, so you're supposed to hate her, you know.
Yeah. And she's like all over the place. Like she did the Liza Minnelli story. Not Liza Minnelli. What's her name? Her mother from The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. But yeah.
Yeah, she played her. I saw that movie, and that blew me away. Like, I mean, she is so amazing what she does. It's crazy, man.
No, she's great, dude. But yeah, that show though is probably one of the best things on TV right now.
That's what I've heard. Like I said, I've just seen the trailers. It looks like it's incredible. Dude, and we really appreciate you hanging out with Tony and me, and just and I know you got shows tonight here, and we'll get with that a little bit later, but with what you're doing and everything you're doing and driving around the country and everywhere else doing comedy, where is Patrick Garrity in 5 to 10 years down the road? What do you, anything you want to be doing, or what do you think?
I'm hoping in 5 to 10, like I'm closer to 5. I hope is that like I'm going to be on the road with 3 different comedians each month, paying them each $25,000, you know, and like helping their careers and like helping other comics that you know, that are talented and that like, you know, that like it's weird because you have to wait for like some agent to tap you on the shoulder or some agency to help you along the career. Man, screw that. Like I we live in the age of the internet. We can do stuff ourselves. Like I want to help comedians be like, hey, you're gonna be on tour an entire month. We're gonna work great clubs and have fun shows, and you're gonna work with 3 other great comics, and here's $25,000 at the end of the month, you know, to help you along your way, that you can go back if you have a wife and kids, or if you have a husband and kids, that you can be like, hey, I just got off the, like, you're gonna be on the road for a month anyway, you know, doing, and like if you work an entire month of work, like you're lucky to come back with maybe $2,000 if that's a good month, you know, like you did well on the road, you know. So like I want to give them their nut, you know, because it's like, that's what people don't understand. Is it's like 1 month you'll work a club and you'll make $1,000. The next week you work a club and you make $600. The next week you get nothing because the booker wouldn't get back to you. The week after that you got 2 one-nighters. You're making $200. You know, it's just like that's how it is. You know, it's just like so up and down. You know.
You're exactly right, man. Well, dude, I want to get with you here about where can people get a hold of you. Please mention clearly your Patreon, so how people can get onto that and then see you and then support you in this big goal that you got going on.
Yeah, Patreon's easy. It's just my name. If you look up my name on Patreon, just go to Patreon, put in Patrick Garrity, Garrity, and it's right there. It's low enough. You can just $1 is all you need to sign up for it. You won't even miss it. And then, you know, of course, my Facebook is my name, Patrick Garrity, and then Twitter is my initials, PG Road Dog, and then Instagram is Garrity Grams with a Z, GRAMZ, Garrity Grams.
I love it. Okay, good, man. And we'll do that. And of course, again, see, I know you just did a little Florida tour. So the next time, since we're based in Florida, next time Patrick Garrity gets anywhere in Florida, please go see him. If you ever need a room, I think I speak for Tony. We got my place or Tony. We'll get you around.
I'll tell you, I'll sleep on your guys' couches.
You got it. I only got a big lazy dog here. He doesn't bite. So, yeah, he'll be good, man. So, But we're going to wrap this baby up, man. Thank you so much for spending some time out there in Vegas. I hope you have some great shows.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, man. Appreciate it, guys.
You bet. And that's Patrick Garrity right there. He's at the LA Comedy Club at the Strat this week here and weekend in Las Vegas. If you're in the area, go see him. Drive an hour or two. Who cares? He's a great comedian. He's got great ideas. This is what we like. We got a lot of people to thank. First off, my co-host, Tony Gaud. It's great seeing you, brother. I'm glad that the show is feeling a little better.
I had to be here, man. I couldn't let my broken limb stop me.
Thank you.
Man. I haven't seen it in a bit. So.
I love it.
I appreciate it,
you look great. Your beard looks fantastic. I love it.
I can't shave.
We want to thank, of course, most importantly, you guys on Spotify, all the platforms. Again, we have video of our podcast now on Spotify, our YouTube channel, comediansuncorked.com. We put on our YouTube channel, not just our podcast every week, and we'll be doing season 3 starting soon, but we do different elements where they add a question of the week, stuff like that, all on our YouTube channel. Please say hi to us, comment, click subscribe. We really appreciate that so we can have more great guests like Patrick Garrity on, and hopefully we'll have him on sometime down the road soon. Thanks again, Julie Drollshagen of Century 21, FloridaBeachBusiness.com, 727-902-9233. For Tony Gaud, my name is Pat Largo. Laugh, you deserve it, and you're listening to the Comedians Uncorked podcast.